Hello, everybody who's really nervous today in particular. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call. No names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hi, everybody. Chris Gethard here, and this is the 2024 Beautiful Anonymous election special. We've never done this before. The intro explains a lot of what's happening, but if you don't love an intro, you want to skip about 7 minutes ahead. That will put you right towards the beginning of the calls. Thank you so much. Just wanted to give a heads up to everybody who subscribes at beautifulanonymous.com. As you can see, this week's episode doesn't really lend itself to the regular format of how we give you all of the bonus stuff. So this one's a very special one. We're actually doing the 5 questions with the one, the only, the High Priestess, Andrea Quinn. So again, you might get to the end of this one and it has such a conclusion that you might not realize that there is, in fact, bang for your buck waiting for you. You get to learn a lot more about the High Priestess. And it also, of course, turns into a little bit of a behind the scenes about how the show works and how we do things, and enjoy it. Hi, everybody. Chris Gethard here, and welcome to Beautiful Anonymous. If you're downloading this the day it comes out, it's Election Day. It's Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. We're going to get into our Election Day special. This is one that I think actually, out of all the political content out there, because we're not a very political show in any way normally, but it's obviously everybody's thinking about it today. But I have a feeling that the combination of some pressure release about politics and our show and what it usually is going to help a lot of you feel a little bit of sanity right now. We put out a prompt that we were going to give people 2 minutes at a time. You call up, you tell us where you're from, tell us who you're voting for, and why. Not surprisingly with this show, we have a lot of listeners who are women. We have a lot of people whose politics, I think, a lot of people found us through This American Life. So you can figure out where a lot of people's politics lie. That being said, it's not universal. The reasons people are voting are far from universal. The discourses that people create in those little 2-minute windows are fascinating. And I would argue that this next hour is going to give you a chance to have a little bit of feeling in touch with politics, but more so, feeling in touch with people spread all over this country and where they're at. And I have a feeling this will feel like some of the most cathartic political content you're going to find during a particularly divisive, non-cathartic day. And I hope that that is the experience for you. I did want to briefly address that on Thursday, put out an episode with a Trump caller. I had said, the show has this reputation and people seem to want to nail us for being a little too lefty. And a lot of that comes from my politics. But I don't want the show to only ever represent one thing. I want people from all walks of life. And if you want the platform, you call up and I'll talk to you. And we talk to a Trump voter. This episode was extraordinarily divisive with our community. Tons and tons of commentary in the Facebook group. I have to thank everybody out there in the Facebook group because 99% of the commentary was super thoughtful and what I would deem kind of high level, in that there were many people who were expressing being distressed, many people discussing the callers' inclinations to vote for Donald Trump and the reasoning behind it and saying this doesn't make sense to me, and a lot of frustration, a lot of fear. And at times, yes, some judgment, but in a way that I actually felt was rooted in kindness. And you don't always see that. There were a handful of comments that I didn't love. Only a few that I had to remove because I go, there's certain lines that we just don't cross in this community. I will say, too, a bunch of people out there going, Chris, this feels like not the best move to platform somebody. Like, if you believe in democratic causes, if you have progressive values, why would you platform a Trump person right now? And I'll sit here and I'll tell you, I get it. And I can take that criticism. It's valid. And there were some people who expressed it with like a sense of being heartbroken. And I just want you to know, I hear you. My hope in putting it out was not to generate listens for the podcast, not to generate numbers for ad sales, none of that. My hope was that in the last week of the election, it felt like I have this big platform, and this might be a really motivating thing, that if you know, yeah, maybe some people would hear it and go, yeah, that's like me. This validates how I'm thinking too, and it's going to lead to more votes for Trump. My guess is that it was going to lead to a lot more people who might have said, you know what, I wasn't going to phone bank this weekend. I'm tired of it, but maybe now I will. Or maybe a donation doesn't matter at this late in the game, but I have a couple $100 extra bucks. I'm lucky to have some disposable income. This episode's scaring the shit out of me. I'm going to send it to campaign. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I can tell you that my intentions, I'd like to think we're in the right place. But that being said, I get it. It was way more of a divisive situation than this show usually delves into. And I want to thank everybody, especially in that Facebook group, who by and large just kept things, certainly venting frustration, certainly venting at times anger, but not ever crossing over into the point of cruelty or trying to win. Which I'll tell you, the reaction I got on Twitter, there were a whole bunch of people who I just went, well, you just want to win an internet fight. And if you need to win an internet fight, I'll let you win it, because I believe that we're still capable of having conversations that are more layered than who won the internet fight or what's getting pounded into our brain by cable news outlets, by people with agendas. I'd like to think that some of us still can go, these are hard conversations. There's not really a roadmap for hard conversations, but inherently sometimes hard conversations are worth having, even if they don't make you feel good, even if they don't make you walk away feeling like the dopamine ran in the right direction for that particular one, that it's still part of human growth and it's still part of the human experience to try to walk across these bridges where it feels like the infrastructure is crumbling a little bit. That if we can prove that those bridges aren't totally falling down, maybe we can find a way to fix them and whatnot. You get the metaphor I'm saying. So I saw all the feedback. I tried to be very on top of it. I hear you. For the people who were disappointed in me, I hear you. And I'm not dodging that. I take responsibility for that. You might be right. Your feelings might be valid. But I had good intentions. And with this one, I'm happy to tell you that even if that was the case, I think this one is going to make you feel good. Not just our liberal callers who are going to feel a little less dismayed with the content, but also just in general, to hear so many people be able to say in 2 minutes, like, hey, here's how I've been thinking. Here's some things that matter to me. Here's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Here's the choices that I'm making. Here's the things I'm seeing in the neighborhood where I live. Just to hear from this many people and to remember, oh, we're all real. We're not just data points. We're not just email addresses that get collected so people can hit us up for money. We're not just demographics. I'm not just a 30 to 45-year-old white male who lives in the Northeast. Like, I'm not just the demographic info that they feed into data crunching machines on me. We're people. We're people living lives, walking amongst neighbors, people with jobs and concerns and lives. And that's what we're worried about. And honestly, screw all of you for reducing us into data points to feed into your algorithmic machines. We're people. And this is a good reminder of that. Anyway, I hope it gives you something. I hope it allows you to feel like you're staying in touch and engaged while also providing a human touch today. And I hope everybody can take a deep breath, and no matter what happens, that we can all continue to take those deep breaths and find ways to take care of each other. Enjoy it, everybody.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hi.
Hey.
You're our first one on our first ever election special. Where are you from, who you voting for, and why?
I'm from West Orange, New Jersey, down the hill. And yeah, I'm voting for Harris because I'm involved in the STEM world as a geologist, and we desperately need more people in the STEM world. And I'm deathly afraid that Trump is going to cut a lot of funding for Pell Grants and other means to get young students into the science world that need funding. So that is just one big reason I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
No, wait, you're from down the hill. That's my neighborhood.
Yeah.
You're like born and raised down the hill, or you live down there now?
I moved up here a couple of years ago. I'm actually from South Jersey originally, from Mount Laurel.
Wow, look at that. We got a genuine scientist from down the hill. Not a neighborhood known historically for producing politically concerned STEM scientists. I'm sure there's more brewing down here. Oh, it's a wonderfully diverse town full of all kinds of people, and I kid. And my dad actually is a scientist. He's got a PhD in environmental science, and he's a down the hill person. So we've got one Jersey person representing from the academic, science-based world, voting Harris, concerned about Donald Trump's funding for the sciences and research. Does that accurately sum it up?
Absolutely. You got it.
So we got a few seconds left. Or maybe it should have been 1 minute, but we committed to 2. Do you eat at Jimmy Buff's and the Star Tavern? These are legendary down-the-hill eateries.
So I've been to Star Tavern. I've been a vegetarian now for like 15 years. So definitely not partaken in a Jimmy Buff hot dog, but hopefully they have a veggie dog one day.
They got a potato. You can go get the potato sandwich right now. It's not the same, but the potato.
Ooh, I gotta try that for sure.
It's so good. Thank you so much for calling, kicking off our election special. It's much appreciated. Let's go ahead. Let's get our next caller on the line. Hello. Where are you? Yeah, hi. Where are you from? Who you voting for, and why?
Hi, I'm from Roanoke, Virginia, out in the Appalachia community. I will be voting for Kamala Harris. Specifically, there's a lot that goes into it. I know I have limited time, but it's simply just because as a young male in our community or in this lifetime, I cannot imagine voting for someone that would restrict my sister, my mom, my family members, people in my community, the access to life-saving health care. I couldn't imagine voting for someone that has said and done such unspeakable things, voting for someone that has been found civilly liable for sexual assault, but, clarified specifically to be rape. I just cannot vote for someone that is such an unspeakable and deplorable human being, whether it's, Kamala will make a good president or not. I just cannot vote for Donald Trump knowing the kind of person that he is and what he would do to the people in my life and my community.
So you're more of an anti-Trump voter than a pro-Harris voter. Very valid, passionate reasons. I'm also interested. Appalachia, talk to me about this, because I feel like generally leans conservative, but my knowledge of American history tells me that going back almost to the founding of the country, Appalachia, what it really is one of the most fiercely independent stretches of the country. Would you say that that's true in your experience living there?
To a degree, Roanoke in itself is a more liberal part of Virginia. Roanoke and Richmond are the two county, or I guess the districts where you will find the most liberal voters in the state. Roanoke is definitely much more conservative than Richmond, which is where I currently live now. But yeah, no, speaking to that, it's definitely, an independent, they tend to vote more conservative or lean more conservative. But, growing up in that community, I have found that I lean more liberal because of the effects that I have seen from things like the opioid crisis and seeing how our community has been forgotten by the GOP. And I think the DNC, or I guess liberal representatives, tend to provide more social programs that have benefited my community in getting us out of such a horrible medical and just social crisis.
Well said. Beautifully said. Happy to talk to you. Let's go ahead and get our next caller on the line. Hello. Where are you from?
Yo, Chris.
What up? Who you voting for and why? Pennsylvania. This is a big one, everybody. Listen in. Everybody lean in and listen close.
I'm begrudgingly voting for Donald.
You are. And how come?
Yeah. Mostly, I'd say economy. No new wars under his leadership. I don't know. I just I had a better time under Trump than I did under Biden in a lot of ways, and I think one more shot for him. I think I got to lean that way, and I just don't like Kamala. She's just another politician. Unfortunately, I don't trust her.
So some of the political gamesmanship. Here's a question that I have. Donald Trump was the president. At what point is he a politician? Or will he forever be like, that guy exists outside the... I'm asking genuinely. He still feels like not a politician to you.
He does. He definitely now does. Once he became president, he was a politician, right? But, I don't know. I still think he cares for the people and cares for the economy, and that's my biggest issue. So for single party issue, single person issue, it's the economy.
So for you, it is as simple as just, and again, I'm not here to judge today. I obviously would love to change your mind. It's not happening in 40 seconds, let alone the ads you're barraged by MPA. That being said, though, for you, it's just like, hey, groceries, they're too damn expensive right now. I don't know what to tell you. Like my actual...
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with his economic policies just in general. I think, he's been better for the economy. And Kamala, I read and published her published economic policy. I think it's dangerous. I think it's going to drive business away from America. Her rhetoric is good, but I think her policy is bad, and I don't trust it.
Our time is up. I have to say, I'll give you obviously, and listen, there's so many people listening right now that want me to start shouting and yelling at you and begging you to change your vote. I can't do it, everybody. It's not what we're doing. But I will say kudos to that caller for saying, I actually sat down and read Kamala's policies, doing the actual work. I can take a deep breath and I can remember that is someone who is of my country and is doing their best. And I pray is not making a massive mistake. Anyway, next person up on the line. You've got 2 minutes. Where are you from? Who you voting for? And why? Hello. Are you there?
I am.
Hello, sir. Where are you from? Who you voting for? And why?
I'm from Ohio, and I thought it would be fun to talk to you. I just got out of prison 7 days ago.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So are you, I'm not saying this to be condescending, are you legally allowed to vote?
Yeah, I am. It was like the first thing that I checked when I got out.
You did.
Like it was in my exit paperwork.
And how'd you hold up in there? Were you in there for,
Well, I was.
Yeah, talk to me about this.
I was in there for like right at a year. It was like, it's not so bad. I wasn't okay. Let's, like Twain said, let's begin at the beginning.
We only have 1 minute.
Oh my God. I was in prison for huffing air duster, which is crazy in the first place.
Yeah.
Prison was like funny, but it was super, super depressing because there's no one to relate to if you're a little bit intelligent. I felt like I was cattle, or I felt like I was a man amongst cattle.
Wow.
There were, a couple of instances of, anger, aggression, having to stand up for myself. I'm a pretty big pacifist, but.
Okay, you need to call back for a full hour sometime. Andrea, we're going to take down your number because we need to talk to you for a full hour. In the meantime, this is our election special. So who are you voting for and why? 10 seconds.
Kamala.
Kamala,
because, it's more than the lesser of two evils. She's someone that I can trust.
Okay, beautiful. We are calling that person back, Andrea. Let's move on, but let's note that, and again, I know I'm making jokes here, but we have just learned that people who huff air Do Lee and Harris, the very important demographic of people who have been caught huffing air, do root for Harris. Hello, next caller, you're on the line.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
What a wonderful way to start the call.
There you go. There you go. 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Where are you from? Who you voting for?
I'm
and why?
also voting for Harris.
You are.
I'm sorry to speak over you.
No, please.
I'm also voting for Harris, and I am just coming at it with the mindset of like what is going to be best for my neighbors and best for the planet and my children in the future. And I don't know how much one election can influence that because it just, seems to go back and forth every 4 years. But I'm just, hoping for the best for as many people as possible. And that's my mindset. I'm originally from Texas. I moved out to the Bay Area, and I am a trans woman. So that's kind of also my background there. It's kind of just a lot of moving parts, and everything is crazy. But also, I wanted to say I love the whole music. It's great.
Oh, thank you.
So,
and can I also say on my end, thank you for calling. And I will say that one thing that makes me shake my head that I think is not appropriate, no matter who you're voting for, the amount of advertising that is histrionically targeting the trans community, I think is unforgivable.
thank you.
I don't understand it as a national political issue that's dominating the airwaves as much as it is in certain states. I find it really disgusting, and I can't imagine how it's making you feel.
I have kind of just almost had to tune out that aspect of it. And I don't know how my family back in Texas is voting because I'm the only one that moved out to the Bay Area. So it's kind of scary. And, it's scary, but I'm hopeful. And even if things don't turn out the way I would hope, I made it through 4 years before. And I'm hoping that, I won't have to run to Canada because I do not have the money to do that.
Look at that. Look at that. What a hopeful but pragmatic and somewhat grim ending to that. Thank you so much for calling. Let's get our next caller on the line. Where are you from, who you vote for, and why?
This is, I'm from Denver, Colorado. Hi, Chris.
Hi.
And I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris because at the end of the day, decency matters. And somebody that was born with a disability and who has a 2-year-old daughter and one on the way, I'm just really scared about Trump and the reproductive rights issue with him and being able to be a girl dad and raising my daughter. It's really important for me to have women for her to look up to.
I think those are incredible reasons. Incredible reasons. It sounds like you've thought really hard about it. And I can't imagine anyone would begrudge you those reasons.
Yeah. I think living in Colorado, we've been really fortunate to be more progressive. And I really want the future of this country to look at the progressive reasons and really wanting to go forward. And I think so many of the policies that Trump has in place just want us to go back to more divisiveness and really kind of a racist past that I don't really condone.
I think it's fair. Thank you so much for calling, for filling us in. I hope calling has provided some outlet for you to get your views on record. And thank you for embracing this platform as a place to share. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. We're going to pause there because we got to pause somewhere. And it's really hard to pause anywhere in an episode like this. So we're pausing here. We're going to do some ads. And we'll be right back. I love IQBAR. I love all of their products. I love those bars. I love that hydration mix. And I'll tell you who really loves the IQ Joe, because I love the IQ bar and I love the IQ mix. We're going to talk about both of those. My wife, Hallie, loves IQ Joe in a way that is pronounced and remarkable. And I don't bring up Hallie in terms of advertisements on this show unless it's really real. This very morning, she told me that she had to grind some coffee, and she turned to me and went, "Why don't we have some of those coffee sticks I like?" Because she's adorable and calls IQ Joe, quote, coffee sticks. So let me tell you about these products that are really big in my household in a very real way. IQBAR, satisfied hunger. They satisfy your hunger, no sugar crash, really good, clean ingredients. Grab and go. Sometimes I eat them if I'm in between meals. I don't want junk food. I don't want to fall into that trap. IQBAR, perfect. If I wake up early and I go, you know what? I'm not really in the mood for a big breakfast. I think that's actually going to make me feel a little sleepier, bloated to just eat a big breakfast. IQBAR, perfect way to kick off the day. Make sure you have a little energy without going too hard, which is something I do all the time. IQ Mix is, I use those all the time. IQ Mix is a hydration product. It's got 3 times as many electrolytes as sports drinks. I find myself using them on days where I'm lagging a little bit. I sit there, I go, I bet I'm a little dehydrated. Let me hit this off in the middle of the day, and it always just gets me feeling back on track. It has happened to me dozens of times now. I also hear that for drinkers out there, it's incredible to help get over hangovers. And IQ Joe is, of course, coffee, mushroom coffee product. It provides a lot of energy. Doesn't give you all those jitters because there's magnesium in there. Boosts focus, boosts mood. Lion's Mane blend and magnesium. And Hallie Bullett's legitimately favorite thing. My wife's favorite thing. So start each day right with IQBAR's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. That ultimate sampler pack. It includes all 3. And right now, IQBAR is offering our podcast listeners an exclusive deal. You get 20% off all IQBAR products. Plus, you can get free shipping. And the ultimate sampler pack, I really think you might like it. You get a chance at seeing all the products and the different flavors in one place. You get 7 IQ bars, 4 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. Those flavors of the IQ bar, probably my favorite one is the lemon blueberry, but there's so many good ones. Chocolate sea salt, mint chocolate chip. And again, these products, there's no gluten, no dairy, no soy, no GMOs, no artificial sweeteners. You can snack a lot smarter. There's fiber in there, less sugar in there, less carbs than the alternatives. So get it going. IQ Mix, 0 sugar in that mix. It improves your mood. Get it happening. IQ Joe, it's a jitter-free instant coffee. There's 200 milligrams of natural caffeine in there, but it doesn't make you all jittery because they balance it out with the magnesium and the Lion's Mane mushroom and adaptogens, all those things. And again, you guys all know over the years, I never say that Hallie likes a thing unless it's top shelf because she does not suffer fools, my wife. There's over 15,000 5-star reviews and counting of IQBAR products. Be a part of it. And right now, IQBAR is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQBAR products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, just text BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. Text BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. That's BEAUTIFUL to 64000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. So happy to tell you about Talkspace, who has been our longest standing advertiser, massive supporters of Beautiful Anonymous. And I am a huge fan of them because if you've been listening to the show for a while, you know this idea of virtual therapy, therapy from home has become so standard. But we all know Talkspace was setting the bar years ago, establishing what this is, unlocking the potential of what it could be. And I'm so impressed because therapy has been massively important to me, an absolute game changer that I resisted for too long. And I remember being young and why I resisted it. It's expensive. It's scary, let's be honest. It requires a massive commitment. You got to get in your car, drive, get in some parking lot, wander across the parking lot of some real sanitized looking medical facility, go into a room with someone you don't know. And then what if it's not a good fit? That's intimidating. But Talkspace, they help break down all those barriers of entry so you can start getting your personal transformation going. The accessibility is huge right there. First of all, you can do Talkspace from your bedroom, from your office, from any place that feels comfortable to you. You get to set the terms of that. You also get to text your therapist at any time. So the comfort level of it is really built for you, which removes a huge mental block over why many people don't dabble with therapy. Let's talk about another thing. Let's be frank. Therapy is expensive. It can be really expensive, but Talkspace is affordable. It's also in network with most insurance providers. In fact, most insured members have a $0 copay. Talkspace is the leading virtual therapy provider. It makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. And sign up online. You'll get paired with a licensed therapist that's the right fit for your needs. That usually happens within 48 hours. And again, if it doesn't feel like a great fit, you can switch providers at no extra cost. And I love that. I love that because it doesn't feel like you have sacrificed days making this happen. You're doing it on your terms, your schedule, from the comfort of your space. You can even talk it out between sessions, like I mentioned, with messages. You can send messages to your therapist. And I love that. There are so many times where I'm in the middle of something, and if I could just get it on record when it was happening in the heat of the moment and know that my therapist has their eye on it, the process has begun, that's a game changer. It's simple, but it's huge. And Talkspace is great at those simple but huge advancements in this world. And all sorts of specializations exist in the Talkspace world. There's therapists out there who are ready to help with individual therapy, couples therapy, therapists who specialize in LGBTQIA plus issues, veterans issues with teens and young people. And as a listener of this podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/beautiful and enter the promo code SPACE80 to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/beautiful. Enter the promo code SPACE80. You'll get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/beautiful. Promo code SPACE80. Thanks again to all of our advertisers. And now let's get back to a whole bunch more phone calls. Andrea, let's go ahead. Let's get our next caller on the line. And hey, callers, if you're listening and you can hear me during the hold period, just want to let you know I'm getting the sense that there maybe are some people who aren't regular Beautiful Anonymous listeners calling in. Welcome. Just remember, we do keep everything anonymous here. That way people can air out their opinions freely. So don't drop your name. Don't worry about it. That's, in the name of the show as we keep it anonymous. That being said, hello to our next caller. Where are you from? Who you voting for? And why?
Hi, Chris. I am a regular listener. I am from Southern Indiana. I voted early last week for Harrison Waltz and Democrats down the ticket as well. And why? So, all kinds of reasons. As a woman, I find it frustrating that it's debatable whether I can make decisions about my body and my healthcare in 2024. Also, a lot of people that I love and care about are in the LGBTQ plus community. Their rights are very important to me. And I want to do anything I can to help maintain and grow those rights. I also know a lot of really incredible people who are immigrants, and they make my life and community a lot better. So I'm really trying to think about the people I love and vote in their best interests.
Beautiful reasons. Well said. Real life stuff. And also Indiana is a state that there's not too much debate about which way it's going to go. So I also imagine you might be something of an outlier, right, depending on where you're at. So do you feel like you're sort of lonely in a bubble out there with these opinions?
I live in one of the liberal towns in Indiana. So bubble in that if I, drive 10 minutes out of town, it's a lot of Trump signs and it's a very different vibe. But, my friend group and luckily my close family is all kind of on the same page. I know a lot of people that aren't fortunate to have that situation and have a lot of strained family relationships. So definitely a bubble in that, nobody's knocking on our doors because we're a swing state. But it is nice to know that there are those of us here trying our best. But, I will say, as a Midwesterner, I'm very excited about Waltz on the ticket. And as someone from Mike Pence's state, I hope we get a redeeming Midwestern vice president.
Wow. I love it. shooting a shot with the giggle at the end. Well done. Thank you for calling. Enjoy your Tuesday. I hope if any of us can enjoy this Tuesday. In the meantime, next caller, welcome. Where are you from? Who you voting for? And why?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm from New Jersey, but I live in Washington. I've never called before. This is so exciting. And I totally did not realize I was next and I wasn't paying attention. I voted blue all the way across. Not surprising, from Jersey and from Washington.
That is like if Jersey and Washington were humans, they would reach out and high five right over the middle of the country. I feel like there's some shared values there.
100%.
What part of Jersey from?
100%. Right in the middle. Central.
It exists. I've had to begrudgingly admit that Central Jersey does exist, and it has its own culture and vibe. I've corrected my ways. Central Jersey exists.
Well, as Central Jersey, we appreciate it.
I feel like Jersey is a blue bubble. You can correct me on any cliches. I feel like Jersey is blue in the sense of a lot of super educated people and a lot of union families. I feel like those team up, let alone the fact very diverse immigrant communities of color, sort of like the Democratic coalition as a whole, all represented in Jersey. Washington feels to me a little more hippie, a little more radical, but generally on the same page. Is that your impression of the two places?
Definitely accurate for Jersey. Washington is like super educated, lines up with what you said about Jersey in the western part by the cities. And then as soon as you go east across the mountains, it's like all red Trump signs everywhere. That's
kind of the Pacific Northwest, right? Not to disparage anybody, but it's kind of like the closer you get to Idaho, the redder it gets, right?
That's super true. Yeah. It's definitely a distance when you drive. You feel like you've entered a whole different world.
Wow. What a good note to end on. An ominous catchphrase about Eastern Washington. Okay, next caller. Welcome. You've got 2 minutes. Where are you from? Who you voting for? And why?
Hey, Chris. This is the former caller. This is the Kite heiress.
Hey, Kite. It's the Kite person.
Well.
Hi, Kite. That was a great call. Great call.
Oh, thank you. So I am I don't know if I told you where I was from, but I'm from the deep South. So I am from South Carolina, and I did my early voting, and I did vote my lovely Miss Harris and Waltz, and voted blue down the line for you. And well, there wasn't much blue on the ticket, so I had to kind of skip some. But I did it because I want to see just future. I want to see a better future for our country and the world, and I can't see that in another Trump thing.
Now, one of the things we talked about that must be so layered for you is that you do work in a business where you made clear like Trump merchandise flies off the shelves. Like you do a lot of the food on your table this is a weird thing for you. It sounds like this is a weird.
Oh, it is. My father and my uncle who owned the business, they just got new Generac, so I got a pay raise from it. So it's kind of a weird capitalism thing. When you just had your caller the other day with the Trump voter, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like I hear this all day long.
It's wild times. But I have to say, talking to you, both in the sense of like hearing you, obviously I'm voting Harris and you and I agree on that, but also hearing that you are someone who interacts with people on a daily basis, that actually the Trump phenomenon has helped put some food has put some Generacs in your family's different backyards, and that people can ultimately take a deep breath and coexist despite differences. It's a good reminder as well. So I'm so happy to hear from you. Thank you for calling.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Let's get our next caller on the line. I'm starting to feel a lot of hope with this. Hello. Where are you from?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm from New Jersey.
Hell yeah. I love New Jersey.
Hell yeah. I'm voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I actually already voted. And I also voted for Sue Altman, which is really exciting. I live in her district. I'm hoping we swing that baby back to blue. And I have a lot of thoughts on the election and why I'm voting.
Okay, you got 90 seconds left. Let's hear as many as we can.
Let's try to get it all in there. One, probably my biggest issue, and I think everyone should take it into consideration, is abortion. This is so important. We dropped the ball for decades on not codifying it into law, and we need to do that. We need to do that immediately. Women deserve the right to choose. Second of all, Tim Walz is the first person on a Democratic ticket since Jimmy Carter to not have a law degree. Working class people deserve a place in our government, even to the highest office of vice president. That is extremely important to me. And three, fascists, neo-Nazis, right-wingers all over the country for decades have been organizing with middle-of-the-road Republicans to take over their party, and we sometimes have to do the same thing. We have to organize, we have to work together, and maybe we won't always agree, but we have to make sure we actually win and build power. And those are my biggest things.
I love it. I'll also point out Tim Walz is the first person on a national platform, a presidential or vice presidential candidate to be a card-carrying union member since Ronald Reagan, who of course was in the Screen Actors Guild. Right. But Ronald Reagan also notoriously for busting unions, most famously the air traffic controllers unions. So it's not like he was like a unionist president. So Walt's also a union guy. Working class union guy, everybody.
That's right. We love him. Love him so much. I feel like he's an honorary New Jerseyan, and I'll leave it at that.
I know exactly what you mean. I'll also say, I'll give you like 10 extra seconds just so I can say, go Sue Altman. If you haven't looked it up, this is one of the districts that could swing back blue in the House race. And also, Tom Keene Jr. is currently the Republican candidate there. And if you look up, some of his behavior is so visibly squirmy when people try to ask him direct questions that it's actually comical. So please do look it up for your own enjoyment. Let's get our next caller on the line. 2 minutes. Where are you from? Who you voting for? And why?
Hi, Chris. I am originally from Tennessee, but I'm registered to vote in Massachusetts, and I've already voted, currently overseas. And I cast in my vote for Harris and Tim Walz already. And I guess the reason why I voted is I'm Southeast Asian, and my parents kind of came from, they were refugees from the genocide. And some of the things that Trump has been saying, especially over the past few weeks, has made me pretty worried about the whole fascism thing, about the whole white nationalism thing. And so I think that, you know, Harris and Walz just represent things that I'm much more in line with for my family, for my loved ones. I'm also LGBTQ+, so I don't know. It all just kind of seems to fall in line with Harris and Walz instead of all the stuff that's going on with Trump and Vance.
I have to say, hearing you say, you know, your parents came to America after fleeing, I go, that's the real American dream right there. To find a warm embrace in this country when you were put upon. And then to hear you have to casually use the phrases, the white nationalism thing and the fascism thing. I go, that's become normalized enough that you and I can have a conversation like the whole white nationalism thing. Like that should never be that casual. And it is now. That's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, you know, history kind of repeats itself. I've seen a lot of people in my community. There's this kind of weird debate. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but with particularly Southeast Asian Americans who vote red, vote blue, and everyone has their own different reasons, even if they come from similar circumstances. But it's just kind of wild to see the stuff that the mental gymnastics that are being played out to kind of vote for Trump and Vance, at least in my eyes, from my own understanding.
I hear you. I hear you.
It's kind of crazy.
Incredible 2 minutes. Reasons laid out clearly. I understand. I wish you well. Let's get our next caller on the line. Where you're from, who you voting for, and why.
Hey, I am from a deep red county of Georgia, swing state.
and I have already voted for Harrison Walz.
You have. Okay. I think a lot of liberal listeners just started cheering. Talk to me. How are you feeling out deep Georgia?
Yeah.
Are the ads you're being hit with completely bonkers?
They are a level of insanity that I cannot understand. I don't see how anyone could look at them and think, that's a good idea, I should vote for that person. But I have to tell you, in my neighborhood, there is not a single Trump sign for the first time in 8 years.
Really?
Not one, not in my entire neighborhood. And I'm feeling really, really good about that. Cautiously optimistic. Even my church held a group, they had a rally to have people put wall signs, Harris wall signs all up and down our highways.
This is giving me hope. And I know it's all anecdotal. I know it's one person's experience, but if you're feeling hope, I might be feeling some hope.
Cautiously optimistic. But I have my brand new newborn baby here in my arms, and I spent my entire pregnancy just terrified that something was going to happen to us. We can't let it happen.
Yeah, that's reality, right? To hear from somebody who just gave birth to say you had to spend those months, which should be focused on so many things, feeling like, oh, this just being pregnant weirdly drags me into political thoughts now. That tells me something has gone very far afield.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for the call. A deep red state Georgia voter saying that they see no Trump van signs up in their neighborhood. That's wild, everybody. Okay, a lot of people just started cheering.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I made it this time.
You're on.
You didn't go earlier because I was mute. So I'm from California. Well, I live in California. I'm actually an Italian living in the U.S., and I naturalized American last year. And so it's my first time voting. And I filled my ballot a couple of days ago, and it was like very emotional. And I voted for Kamala and in general across the board Democrats. And the reason being is that I grew up in a country that has been ruled by fascism when, predates me. I'm a lot younger than when Mussolini ruled the country, but the effects of it are still visible now. And I'm terrified of what's going to happen next week. I'm really scared of any type of extremism.
I am so happy that you're here, that you're voting, to hear about those emotions. I wish we had so much more time to talk about it. And also to hear that you naturalized here during a stretch where things are so divisive politically. I imagine there must be so many emotions that come along with that.
Yeah, it happened right after October 7 last year. And I was, when I made the application earlier than that, and the way the U.S. is enabling the conflict in the Middle East, it's been really difficult for me. But at the same time, I was also so scared of another Trump presidency that I was like, I don't want to be an immigrant anymore. I want to be a citizen, and I want to have my voice, even though I know my vote in California doesn't count as much as other states. It still makes me feel like I'm doing something.
And I have to say, too, it's so easy to think that you in California, me in New Jersey, to think like, it doesn't really matter. But then to hear you just even talking about your experience right now of like, I come from a country that has a history that has dabbled with fascism, to come from a culture where we're acutely aware of it, to have opted into being here in America, to think seriously about your vote in that context, it does matter. It does matter. And I don't want to lessen the impact of that. Obviously, when someone says, I'm from Pennsylvania, from Georgia, everybody's ears perk up. But let's also not brush your experience under the rug. It's really beautiful. Really beautiful. Next caller. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you.
We want to know where you're from, who you're voting for, and why.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm enjoying getting to talk to so many people in one quick barrage today. It's really enjoyable. How are you?
Oh, good deal. Okay, good. I was just surprised that I got on. I'm from Houston, And I voted already. I voted for Harris and Waltz. And why did I vote for him? The other guys, hateful, violent rhetoric and interest that just, I was going to vote for whoever stood up against them. So that was kind of where I stood.
Okay. Now, every presidential election year, at the very, very last minute, there's a bunch of rumblings where people start to go, man, there was a chance in Texas and Florida. I wish the Democrats had invested a bunch of money there. And then it never seems true. It's happening again right now. People going, man, they might have had a chance at Texas if they took it seriously. What's your sense? Is that real, or is that more like, no, Texas does its own thing. Everybody don't hold your breath.
Yeah, that's totally how I feel. I live in Houston. Houston is pretty liberal. We had the first openly lesbian mayor as far as a big city is concerned. So, it's pretty progressive here. But, we haven't had a Democrat in any of our win any of our elections. Senate, we haven't voted for a Democrat for the presidency. Our state legislature has been red. So, I don't see that changing anytime soon.
So a lot of people thinking Colin Allred might have a puncher's chance against Ted Cruz. You don't think so? Your gut says no.
Oh man, my gut says no. My gut says no. I wish I was so excited for Beto.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think so, man.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Great to talk to you. And it's listen, Andrew. Before we put the next person through, I'll just say, a lot of people, we put out an episode last week with a Trump voter. A lot of people, I think rightfully, were like, Chris, you didn't come at her hard enough on certain things. I sit here, I go, that's not what the show's for. I'm trying to go political. I do feel safe just saying, like, honestly, fuck Ted Cruz. Like, just in general, and I know, not the boldest opinion for a vocal Democrat to make, but man, that guy in particular seems like such a weasel. Anyway, next caller, you're on the line. Where you from? Who you voting for? Why?
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. From Morris County, New Jersey.
Whoa!
Just voted today.
Whoa!
Voted blue all the way down.
You did. Now, I'm a Morris County person as well these days.
I know. I'm a longtime listener of Beautiful Anonymous, New Jersey is the world. First-time caller.
Love it. We live, so Morris County, again, I like getting to talk to people. The Texas guy, I get to ask about Colin Allred. Morris County is a weird one because it's kind of where Jersey starts to shift from blue to red. Would you agree with that?
100%. When me and my wife just moved out here last year from Jersey City, and we were a little nervous what it was going to be like. Luckily, the town that we're in, we're like 2 towns north of Morristown, is pretty kind of split down the middle. I see tons of Harris Wall sides on my street, and during June, tons of LGBTQ plus support. So we feel comfortable.
I do. It's one of these interesting places where I go, out where you were out in Hudson County. I grew up in Essex County, Passaic County. In general, you sit there, you go, yeah, those are really reliably blue. Out here is kind of the bridge. Sussex and Warren County get very red on the other side of Morris County. But in Morris County, I get the sense it's more just like old people who loved Reagan and who really roll their eyes hard at the histrionic, like targeting certain social group stuff. I don't get the sense it's too Trumpy. I don't know if you would agree.
No, I would agree. Yeah, I see a couple pickups driving around with the Trump flag, but certainly nothing out like if you're going to like Hapakong or something out there.
I love a hyper local Morris County discussion. You said you're a little bit north of Morristown. This lets me know, have you eaten at Cliff's Dairy yet? I want to plug Cliff's Dairy, legendary Morris County ice cream shop. Do you know it?
No, we haven't made it to Cliff Dairy yet.
It's up on the Roxbury Circle. You got to do it. Just above the Roxbury Circle, actually. Anyway, thank you so much. Every Jersey caller gets some personalization on this one. Hi, everybody. Once again, this is a show that has advertisements. They have to happen somewhere. This is the place where they shall happen, and we shall be right back. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The holiday season, personally, I find it overwhelming. I find it stressful. It gets real busy, and that stress shows up. I got to get people things. I got to make sure people know that I care about them. Guess what? Uncommon Goods is out here helping. They have incredible hand-picked gifts for everybody on your list, and it's all in one spot. And man, is that a breath of fresh air. You can find gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight. You can find so many things where you look at it and go, that is exactly what I wanted. Because Uncommon Goods curates their stuff so well. They scour the globe. They find original, handmade, absolutely remarkable things. And they know all these perfect gifts that fit all sorts of people you know. I am scrolling through uncommongoods.com right now. And on the very front page, I'm looking and I'm going, oh, you could get ahead on Christmas decorations. And right there is a water bottle bag that my wife would be absolutely thrilled with, that I almost feel like I need to order because she loves hiking. And that feels like something she would love. And then right next to it is a Learn to DJ children's toy where I sit there and I go, Cal would love that. And right next to that is a hand soap that my mother-in-law would love. And I'm scrolling down, I go, just on the front page with almost no exploration, I'm seeing gifts for some of the most important people in my life that are just jumping out at me. And you can imagine if you spend 5-10 minutes, your brother and your sister-in-law and your brother-in-law and everybody you're looking for, your aunts, your uncles, you're going to find something here, and you can get so much of this done in one place, stress-free. When you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses because many of their handcrafted products, they're made in small batches. So you're going to want to shop now because they'll sell out. A lot of this stuff is going to sell out fast because it's great stuff. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out-of-the-ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday host and hostess gifts to the coolest finds for kids to hits for everyone, from book lovers to diehard sports fans, Uncommon Goods has something for everybody. Not the same old selections you can find just anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice, which is huge because nonprofits help keep the infrastructure of society from falling apart. They have donated more than $3 million to date. That is so cool. And kudos to them. And again, I'm not kidding around. Go to uncommongoods.com and I imagine that you are going to look at it and go, he's not lying. I already see like 2 things that are perfect for people in my life. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/beautiful. That's uncommongoods.com/beautiful for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. Let's talk about Delete Me. Delete Me is a service I use. Delete Me is a service that provides me and my family with peace of mind. And this is very real for me. And we are living in a world where we need to be really mindful of the fact that information is out there. Data is flying around, and you would be shocked at the level of detail that these data brokers have on you. And I'm telling you, identity theft, online harassment, stalking, doxing, these are things that can happen when your privacy is compromised. And I'm somebody who's lived publicly and has built a lot of stuff that's been embraced on a cult status level. And you can imagine that sometimes I need to make sure that my family's privacy is safe, and Delete Me has provided that in a way that I can't stress to you enough, has been such a weight off my shoulders. These data brokers, and you can look up that phrase, it's a very real thing. They sell your info online, and I'm talking your contact info. Some of them have your social security number, your home address. Some of them have every address you lived at, and your mom's address and your brother's address, and you go, oh my goodness, this is wild. How thorough this gets. They're making profit off of it. That's why they do it. They're selling your data. People on the web can buy your private information in a way that's so inappropriate. And this can lead to things I mentioned before, like harassment, phishing attempts, identity theft, all those unwanted spam calls where they seem to know stuff about you. This is why. You're going to want to protect your privacy with Delete Me. It's so much easier than you know to find someone's personal information online, And all that data out there, you don't want it. It has real consequences in the real world. And I personally recommend Delete Me, because I'm going to tell you, I have dealt with some situations where it was very necessary for me to try to push back against these data brokers. And I signed up for some services that I thought did a good job. Then I started using Delete Me. They found dozens of places that the other similar services missed. And on top of it, they have gone back time and time again. And when these sites try to add my personal data back, they flag it, they remove it again. I cannot recommend Delete Me enough. I have experienced them enough to know that they are leading the charge in this world and setting the bar extremely high. If you want to give them exact information you want deleted, you can let Delete Me know. Their experts are on it. They'll take it from there. They also send you regular personalized privacy reports showing what info Delete Me has found, where it was found, what they removed, and it is not just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you. I have seen this. As I mentioned, Delete Me is constantly monitoring and removing your personal information that you don't want on the internet. They get it out of there. They work hard, wiping you and your family's personal info off of these insidious data broker sites. So take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners, you get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Use the promo code beautiful at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Enter the code beautiful at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Code beautiful. Thanks again to all the sponsors who make this show happen. Now let's finish off this election special. Let's get our next caller. Where you from, who you voting for, and why?
Hey, Chris. How's it going? It's beautiful chaos calling back.
Yeah. Oh, hi. How are you? First, I thought you just meant in general this is chaotic, but no. Past caller. Hi.
No, it's beautiful. I'm sick in bed, so my voice is gnarly. Aside from that, dude, I'm resting up so I can get ready to vote in person because I did not get out there in order to do it early.
Yeah, same here. I didn't vote
but I'll be getting my butt out there for... I'll get on it. Actually, good news. I moved from Minnesota, and now I'm in Philly. So it's my being in PA, my vote's going to count a little bit more this time around.
Ooh, that's and can I dare I ask whom you're voting for?
I'm non-binary, man. I'd get canceled by my own community if I didn't vote for Kamala. Come on. Well, not even for that. It's just I can't vote. Like, I could say that it's funny. Like, as a transfer, I can't vote for Trump. But I'm like, there's so many people who are like, no, man, transfer Trump, baby, woo. And I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah, that's wild. Also, as an ex-Minnesotan, I've heard there's a little, sometimes I hear that people who have known Waltz a while in Minnesota are like, hey, just so everybody knows, like the whole, like he's America's happy uncle thing gets a little old after a while. I have heard a little of that from Minnesotans.
Look, after realizing that I'm clearly not just ADHD, but also like autistic, anybody who like, I can't handle Minnesotan, are you fucking with me, man energy. And unfortunately, I think if you're in Minnesota, you're never going to be really given a full clarity on how real you're being. So, I mean, I have my doubts. I'm not voting because I'm like, I'm sure that these two people are being straight up with me. I don't know, but yeah, no, living there. I mean, I'm not from Minnesota. I'm originally from New Hampshire. What a state to be originally from. But yeah, no, people very, very, very critical of Minnesota, that dude.
Yeah, I've picked up on it. He's more layered than we all thought originally. Thank you for calling. Feel better. Get that vote out. Your vote really counts there. So right now we've heard, as far as the swing states go, Andrea, I think if I'm counting right, we've heard one Trump voter from PA, one Harris voter PA, one Harris voter from Georgia who had some particularly hopeful news about the lack of Trump signage. I think that's the 7 swing state representation so far. Let's get our next person through. Hello. Welcome to the show. 2 minutes. You get to tell us where you're from, who you're voting for, and why.
Hey, I am from upstate New York, and I am absolutely voting blue up and down the ballot. Can I swear on this podcast?
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Oh, sweet. Okay. So obviously I'm voting for them for so many reasons, but I want to say a particular special reason why I'm voting for Harrison Walls is that in 2016, when the Trump-Clinton election was happening, my boyfriend at the time told me, it's okay if Trump wins. It's not really going to matter that much. It's not going to impact you too much. I just want to say, fuck him. And it absolutely did impact my life in such horrible ways. So I'm so glad to be voting for Harrison Walls this time around.
I'm glad that we provided a platform for you to say fuck you to your ex-boyfriend. That's what this was always really about, honestly. Honestly, that's what this was.
Hey, I'm in upstate New York. I got to do what I can, right?
Listen, everybody thinks New York is super, super lefty. And I think because of the just absolute gravity of New York City and the surrounding suburbs, that's going to be true. But upstate New York is really divided. Upstate New York, you don't have to travel too far out of New York before it starts to really take on a more, it connects right to Appalachia. It connects right to Pennsylvania. Upstate can mean a lot of different things, but just hearing you're from New York doesn't mean you live in some lefty bastion.
No, and honestly, and to everybody out there too, making sure to vote beyond just the first column is super important, because I know in New York there's a proposition that will help protect reproductive health care, and I'm very passionate about getting that word out too. So vote yes, Prop 1, New Yorkers.
Love it. Getting specific at the tail end of things. I think this is a good episode, Andrea. Wasn't sure if this was a good idea, and I think it's been a great idea. That being said, you never know what's going to happen next on Beautiful Anonymous. You got 2 minutes here on our Election Day special 2024. Hello, caller. Where are you from? Who you voting for? And why?
Hey, Chris. Hope you had a great Halloween yesterday.
Oh, it rocked. It ruled.
Fantastic. Well, I'm calling from deep red state, Louisiana. So hate to break a streak here, but I actually am voting for VP Harris and Governor Walz.
Oh, I thought you were about to say you're voting for, I thought you were saying breaking the streak of Harris callers, but
I had to throw a little curveball at you.
Wow. Oh yeah. Successfully done. Success. So what's it like being a blue voter in a super red state right now?
You don't have as many people to talk to about politics. Now, I am from the New Orleans metropolitan area. We do have a Democratic mayor, but a Democrat mayor. I have about 4 Trump signs on my street.
So it's no doubt in your mind how this one's going.
I know my vote does not count in this election for any electoral votes, but for symbolic reasons and moral reasons, I cannot vote for Donald Trump.
Let me ask you this. Louisiana, New Orleans in particular, has this reputation as like a den of heathenism. And also, though, even beyond the touristy aspects of that, even back to the early days of the country, a reputation for a state that was, yes, a slave state, but where slaves had more breathing room and freedom than any other slave state when you read up on it. I'm surprised to hear that there's not a little bit of liberalism left behind from that tradition.
I think you do see that in New Orleans proper, but I think, I'm in a suburb right outside New Orleans, but I think you do see a bit more red as you move away from the city of New Orleans itself. But you're absolutely correct about the liberal heathenism of Mardi Gras and, a lot of acceptance. You see it in the French Quarter, on Frenchman Street, on Bourbon Street. There are many places for the LGBTQ plus community to be accepted. But then we also have a very Republican governor.
Yeah, that'll do it. Well, thank you for calling, and thank you for throwing me for that curveball at the beginning. It makes me chuckle to realize that you toying with my emotions was 100% on purpose. Let's get to our next caller. Hello, welcome to the Beautiful Anonymous 2024 election special. Who are you voting for? Where are you from? Why are you voting the way you're voting? I phrased that poorly. You get it. Hello.
You're good, Chris. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Thanks for telling me I'm good.
So I am in the deep blue Boston suburbs. Although I got to call you out, you did your show here a few weeks ago. You did it on Rosh Hashanah. Dude, you got married at a kosher camp, and I couldn't even go.
I'm really sorry about that. I did not realize until after the shows were scheduled that they conflicted with the Jewish holidays. It affected my show in Massachusetts and New Jersey, I believe.
Well, it's okay. I forgive you. So obviously, I am like everybody else in this area voting for Harris. But I think the more interesting thing in Massachusetts, we have a lot of really cool ballot questions. We have 5 ballot questions. Do you know about any of those?
No.
Have you heard anything? One of them is that potentially legalizing psychedelics in certain contexts, which is cool from a medical standpoint.
All right.
Yeah, and about like raising the wages of tipped workers to eventually get up to the minimum wage.
Love that.
So yeah, I feel like around these parts, like some of the other, deep blue or deep red states, the offices aren't as interesting. A lot of our stuff is uncontested around here. So it's more about the ballot questions.
I do like hearing, on some level, you sit here and you go, in a really charged up election, you fire up the base. And in a place like Massachusetts, to hear that the base is not content just symbolically voting in a way that everyone assumes they are, then they go, no, let's actually use this as a chance to just sprint a little bit further to the left. You sit there, you go, wow, that's the type of side effect you don't know about unless you're in that state where it's happening. And I bet you're not the only ones, and I'm not smart enough to know every ballot question everywhere. Sure. It's wild. Thank you for calling.
No, of course not. But yeah, thank you.
2 minutes. Where are you from? Who you voting for? And why? Welcome to the Beautiful Anonymous 2024 election special.
I'm voting for Harris.
Cool.
Yeah, and I live in North Carolina, so I'm another swing state representative.
Oh, wow. Okay, see, this is all the swing staters. Everybody's ears perk up. North Carolina, a lot of predictions that this one might actually be Harris with a little breathing room. What's your sense down there?
I don't want to burst bubbles, man. Anecdotally, sure. In my neighborhood, nothing but Harris signs. And in my life, and everyone I know, and my wife, and every friend, and every acquaintance, sure. But I can, in a little more than the 2 minutes this phone call would take, can drive and see Trump signs and Confederate flags. So that's a true purple state. That's North Carolina, man. That's how we are. Yeah, well, so I mean, it's so funny you had that caller earlier in the week. I think she is a data point that you got to remember 2016 surprised everyone, quote unquote. I want to be pleasantly surprised on Tuesday, but we're braced for, the unpleasant surprise.
So your gut instinct is North Carolina is going to be a dogfight, but it's going Trump. It sounds like that's your.
That's my fear. But a positive thing about North Carolina, 100%, we're going to elect another Democratic governor. Like Stein's going to win up and down. He's going to, Robinson's gone. And North Carolina's funny like that. In the same year that North Carolina put Trump, voted for Trump, they also voted a Democratic governor in. You know what I mean? So North Carolina can be funny sometimes. Like the ballot can be split. So we have, down ballot, we have our governor, our beloved current governor, who's also a Democrat, is term limited, but Stein is about, we'll at least here in the state of North Carolina, we're good. We can weather the next 4 years.
And for anybody, we are out of time, and I thank you for calling, but for anybody who has not looked up why the governor's race should be pretty, people might be going, well, what happened that it's going to be, you're so self-assured about the governor's race. The scandal following the Republican candidate in North Carolina is hard not to view as outright hilarious. Look it up. It's so over the top insane. You sit there, I go, I can't do anything except laugh because this is wild. Okay, we have time for a few more callers. Caller, welcome. Where you from? Who you voting for? And why?
Hey, I live in Utah, and for the third time, I am proudly not voting for Trump.
Well,
and
hello.
I'm so thrilled to be. I'm so thrilled to be voting for Harris.
How come?
I'm voting for humanity. I'm voting for goodness. I'm voting for minorities and my marginalized groups. I'm voting for the Supreme Court, and I'm voting for reproductive health care. I've had so much anxiety around getting pregnant in general. And then the fact that there's even more roadblocks now to potential pregnancy complications only caused my anxiety to get worse. And then obviously the added addition of the possibility of limited contraception or limited access is really scary. And so what's funny is I literally just got home from my surgical consultation for a tubal ligation.
Wow. So you're right in the thick of it.
Because I'm not scared. Yep.
Wow. Now, I also just wanted to say, and I'm going to give you a little extra time. I don't know if you listened to it, but we're recording this on Friday, November 1st. On October 31st, we dropped an episode with a Trump voter who I applaud her for calling up when she knew we disagreed. She was voting from a place of emotion for Donald Trump. There were certain situations where she would even say, I know it's not quite logical, but I got to go with my gut on this. And she was from Utah. And I saw a bunch of comments in the episode disparaging Utah. And I just want to let you know, I'm not out here trying to demonize Utah. And those comments did bum me out a little bit. And to hear that you're in the same state and you're thinking for totally different reasons to go in a different way, I think gives us a good, well-rounded picture of your state. And I hope it didn't bum you out if you saw those comments as well.
Yeah, I do believe Utah gets a lot of hate. I'm not from here, but I've lived here for about 15 years. And Utah used to be a guaranteed red state. It's slowly moving. It really is. The fact that every single congressional representative we have is a Republican is thanks to gerrymandering, which, is the case with many states. But there are plenty of Harris supporters. The other issue is I am a registered Republican so that I can vote in the Republican primaries because generally only Republicans win.
So even voters who might be blue elsewhere, if you're a moderate blue voter in Utah, you go, if I just want to be in the game and have my voice heard and actually live in the reality and pick the best candidate who has a chance, you register as a Republican.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And people will criticize that and say I'm throwing things off. And it's like, no. Because those people are, if I'm a Democrat and they're a Republican and they win, their job is to represent me. They still represent me. So I want to make sure that my voice is heard. And because a lot of times Republicans will run uncontested. And if I want my voice heard, then I need to be registered Republican.
Wow. It's fascinating. Thank you so much for calling. And, I'm left thinking too, there's this, even just hearing that caller's story, it's really fascinating to hear. You want to play ball, get in the ring. Okay. We do it this way. You do sit here and you go, there's, in my lifetime, seen major shit, Newt Gingrich and his tidal wave, Trumpism certainly where shifts back to the right, but then you also see some progressive goals where within my lifetime, the idea that weed would be legal is ludicrous, gay marriage legal, ludicrous. And you sit here, you go, maybe the next way that we're just going to take a national shift to the left is we're going to stop fucking with women because it's proving to be such a losing issue all over. And that call reminded me of that in many ways. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Caller, I hear you on the line. Welcome. 2 minutes. Where are you from? Who are you voting for and why?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Hi.
I'm in California, or California, as my mom might say, voting for Harris because fuck Donald Trump mostly, but so many other reasons. But fuck that guy.
Simple as that.
Fuck that motherfucker.
You're the first one to put it that bluntly on the table. A lot of people have been like, here's the issues that matter to me, or here's the hesitations I have about enabling hate. You're the first one that's just like straight up, fuck him.
Fuck him. No, absolutely. I'm so tired of him. I'm so tired of like. I just hope he loses and fucking fades. Just go be old. Fuck off. Do what old people do. Don't want anymore.
But yeah. Pulling no punches here towards the tail end of our election special. No. We have callers who are not hiding any feelings right now.
Absolutely not. I haven't listened to your episode yesterday yet, but I'm going to.
Oh, it's gonna. I can tell you that it's gonna piss you off. You might not make it all the way through, based on feedback I've been seeing.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Were you in California when Kamala won the Senate seat?
No, I'm new here. I moved here 2 years ago, but that'll be for when I have an actual full call with you soon.
Love it. Can't wait. Based on your pull no punches attitude, that's going to be a classic call when it happens. Thank you so much for calling.
Yeah. Have a good one.
You too.
Fuck Donald Trump.
All right. Next caller. Welcome. Where you from? Who you voting for? And why?
Gethard, what is up?
What up?
I am from the swing state, the lovely swing state of Pennsylvania, and I, of course, am voting for Harris.
You are? Okay. All the Democrats just started pumping their fists.
I know. I am in the lovely swing state, so I've heard plenty about us on the news all this past week, but I am in the lovely part of Pennsylvania, probably about an hour outside of Philly. So I am one of the only Kamala signs in our whole neighborhood, but it's kind of interesting to drive around. But yeah, I'm definitely a Harris voter. I am in my late 20s, and I've kind of seen a bit of like a lot of my friends go the other way too for Trump's side. And there's definitely some points where I'm like, oh, I can kind of see why they're going that way. But like, for me, it's definitely like, I can't do the whole like reproductive rights thing. Like he says he's for women, but like it's a load of bullshit. And like for me as someone who's like probably gonna have kids soon in the next like couple of years, and I have like direct family members who have had miscarriages and that sort of thing, it's absolutely terrifying that like that could be the way our country is going.
Now, you said you're outside of that Philly and Philly suburb bubble. You're in the area. You said it. I didn't, but Pennsylvania is the phrase people start to toss around.
I said it because I'm from here. I might get a load of shit from it, but you know what? I said it.
Your instinct as a Pennsylvanian, outside of your own personal choice, your instinct, if you had to predict how Pennsylvania is going to go, because it's been over and over again, they tell us it's the most important one.
I go back and forth. I know there's a lot of drama too, even with the early voting. And I know there's been some drama in like Bucks County and all that stuff with the early voting. I really hope, I think like the last caller, like we're slowly moving towards blue, and I really hope it's going that way. I think it's going to be really close. And I think last election too, it came down to like Montgomery and a couple other counties. So I think hopefully it's going to be close, but I have a feeling it might go Harris.
All right. This is providing catharsis and hope for any liberal listener who's getting this early in the morning. Thank you so much to our Pennsylvania caller. We've got a few people left in the queue. I'm going to try to get to everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Beautiful Anonymous 2024 election special. Hi. Your 2 minutes begins now.
Hi. Awesome. I am in Illinois, and I voted for Harris. I did early voting last week and was very excited to vote.
What were the issues driving you?
So many, but the one that is most pressing is the one that just came up a couple times in the last couple callers, which is reproductive rights. I just had a baby earlier this year, and thankfully everything went well, but I can't imagine how it would have been if it didn't, and I wouldn't have had the kind of health care that I want. And I also had a daughter, and I am voting for her future. If she wants to have kids, or even if she doesn't, I want her to have the health care that she deserves. So that was a big one for me.
It's really, no matter how this election goes, I think it is not debatable that the Supreme Court Roe versus Wade, Dobbs, the way everything went down, good God, did they piss off the women of America collectively with that entire process?
Yeah.
That this, if anything is proven
Except
by
I
this
do
episode,
know
it's
women
that.
who are voting for Trump.
Really? Yeah. Even in
And
Illinois.
that confuses me. Well, I'm from New York, and so the people that I know voting for him are in New York, still not New York City, but in more rural parts. And I can't wrap my head around it. If it affects them as women, and they just don't see that. I don't quite understand.
Nor do I. Who am I to judge? Maybe someday one of them can explain it to me in a way that makes sense, but I'm going to try not to stress. I'm going to try to take hope in callers like you and so many others today who are thinking with their heads and their hearts in the right place. And I thank you for calling. Let's go ahead. Let's get to our next caller. You got 2 minutes to tell us where you're from, who you're voting for, and why.
Hello. I live in Tennessee. After living in 4 blue states, very, very blue states, I lived here for 3 years, and I am voting for Kamala Harris, and I am in the minority for a lot of my years.
And how does that feel? Do you feel like people are cool? Do you feel like there's stress and tension surrounding being a bit of a loner in this situation? How do you feel?
It's like if people are pretty close. Or like in the South, people are very polite. Whereas like the last place I lived was New Jersey, where people will be like, "All right, let's fight," you know.
Oh yeah.
Which I also I miss that a little bit because then you at least know what people think of you. And here, someone could have an issue with you, and you'll never know about it. But yeah, I mean, the county I live in is really immediate community is pretty red. And being Jewish, there's also some other weird issues with discrimination, a whole other thing. And also, my parents who are Trump supporters just moved to Nevada from California, where they are now swing state voters, and that is really just my blood pressure.
So you've got so many things pushing and pulling at you. Even just hearing you say, like, just being a Jewish voter right now. I mean, first of all, everything that's happening in the world is stressful, and then also both parties have. It's almost like both parties are like trying to yank onto one side of the Jewish community and just push and pull them over to their side. It's why it's very blunt and weird to see.
Are they? It's a constant problem of us being pawns.
Yeah.
And like also certain people both just like using others for their own interests. So.
Well, thank you so much for calling. Your 2 minutes are up. I hope the stress does not weigh down on you too heavily. We'll all see how we're feeling Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. In the meantime, we've got just a couple callers left. Hello. Your 2 minutes begins now.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm 35 years old, and I'm voting for Harris.
You are. And are you from one of the Pittsburgh, Philly, and associated suburb hubs, or are you from one of the more spread out areas of Pennsylvania?
I'm from a Pittsburgh suburb. Yeah.
You are. First
I've
of
been
all,
here my whole life.
Pittsburgh's rad. One of my favorite cities. Bottle Rocket is one of the great comedy venues in this country. You should check it out. Pittsburgh is so cool.
I've seen you twice there so far.
Oh, it's one of my favorite venues. That being said, I want to know which.
I love it.
Which topics are motivating you towards your vote?
100% women's rights. It's absolutely terrifying, and I really just can't understand how people can just look past that as if it's not affecting half of the population.
Do you get the sense that, because Pittsburgh is also like very union town, very working class town, there's a lot of talk that community is a little more divided and a little less blue than it historically has been. What's your view from the ground level in the Pittsburgh area?
So I actually do have a personal connection to this. My husband is a union worker. He's a Teamster, and he is surprised by the amount of people who are fully for Trump.
Oh boy.
And the union has been sending out mail saying to vote for Harris, that they're behind Harris, but I know officially they have not obviously picked a side. But it is pretty astonishing to us.
Oh boy, that gives me fear. Pennsylvania is going to be.
Yeah.
It's good. Pennsylvania is just the cold dose of reality for half of America. Half of America is going to get a Pennsylvania dose of reality on Tuesday night, and we legitimately don't know which one is getting the cold water and which one's getting the love.
It's very scary. When he won in 2016 here, I could not believe it. I was astonished. I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now.
I've asked a few of our Pennsylvanian callers. Our time is technically up, but I just want to ask you, a few of our Pennsylvanian callers, I've asked them, and I know I'm not putting it on your shoulders. It's all anecdotal. If you had to guess, what are we thinking Pennsylvania is going to do on Tuesday?
I think we're going to go for Harris. I'm going to stay confident.
Oh, I love it. I needed to hear that from you. I need hope. Thank you. What's this?
Yeah, I just also want to say Donald Trump. So I just want to repeat that.
What was that? I couldn't hear that.
Fuck Trump.
Oh, I thought that might have been what you said, and I wanted to make sure it didn't get swallowed up. You said it, not me. Thank you so much.
I said it. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Andrea, I think we have one caller left, two callers left. And then we have shut down the queue. We've got two callers left. Hello, welcome to the show. Where are you from? Who are you voting for?
Hey, Chris.
Hi.
Hi, I'm calling from Connecticut. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it on. I'm chasing around my 1-year-old twin, so I'm glad that they're cooperating right now.
I love it.
But anyways, calling from Connecticut. Definitely voting for Harris, and I'm very excited to cast my vote. I was raised by strong women, and the thought that anyone is going to tell them what to do with their body is like they wouldn't tolerate it. I don't think we should be tolerating it, so I'm going to cast my vote for Harris.
I mean, I'm not shocked to hear how, this show we have long known that this show, in an unpredictable fashion, caught on big with women from its early days being featured on This American Life. So I'm not shocked, but to hear how cut and dry it is for so many people, that it's just like, you're not going to fucking tell us what to do with our bodies. And over again, that's coming up. I can't say I'm shocked, but I am taken aback at how simple and pronounced it is. No. But like the simplicity of it and the bluntness of it and the like, hey, right there, end of conversation attitude so many people have had today and calling in. I go, it really is remarkable. They pissed off a lot of people on a basic level. Scared and pissed off.
Yes. 100%. And, I'm also a mental health therapist, and just working with so many survivors of domestic violence, like power through fear and control shouldn't be accepted. Doesn't work, right? And like just Trump's, how he is scaring, everyone into voting for him. It's really scary to think of like the cycle of abuse on a very macro level like this. And that's terrifying for me, but so many of his traits remind me of just manipulation, and it's just really terrifying.
I hear you. It sounds like there's so many ways in which we agree, and it's just a shame that I have to be a little divisive at the end and let you know that New Jersey has the best pizza in the country.
Okay. Well, I'll have to come and try it sometime, but right now, I'm going to stay strong with my Connecticut pizza.
Connecticut pizza's no joke, but it's like half a dozen places. There's like half a dozen great places in Connecticut. Jersey, the middle ground pizza is better than most people's best efforts.
Okay, well, I'm just going to have to come and check it out. I'm not going to just take your word for it, having Connecticut pizza my whole life.
There you go.
So sorry.
See, and this is what we need more of in this country, is people who go, we're not going to get caught up in the histrionics, in the simple baited fights. I clearly tried to bait you into a fight, and you did the right thing, which said, no, I will go. I will experience it. I will have an open mind. We will try to connect. Thank you for not falling for my nonsense, my admitted nonsense on that.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm glad I got through today.
We have one more caller, I believe. Welcome to the show. Where are you from? Who you voting for? And why?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I am from Texas, and I am voting Harris.
You're our second Texas blue voter today. What's motivating?
Yeah, well, hopefully there's more of us out there. And I'm not going to sound very different to a lot of your other female callers, where it's about women's rights. Sometimes it's about human rights. But I moved to this country 22 years ago and was so proud that I could sit with my neighbors, blue and red, and have a wonderful conversation about our country. And in 2016, that kind of changed.
Yeah.
And everyone's too scared to say anything now. So it's just, I just wanted to go back to the way it was.
It's so interesting to hear that you came here, had one experience as a Texan and as an American in talking about politics, and watched it shift not too long after you first immersed yourself in it. It's a very interesting perspective. What are the issues in Texas that you feel like people just don't speak freely about anymore?
Well, I mean, I think there's a subliminal kind of racist, just generally just against, or prejudice against foreigners, and not necessarily illegal foreigners, just foreigners in general. People have not been rude to me, but there's just that kind of sentiment. And, you know, bringing up women's rights is just crazy that we can't just talk about it freely and not have a civil conversation about it. And I think that's what's missing now, is that we can't have a civil conversation about stuff where we can sit down and just listen to each other and agree to disagree. It just becomes very, very heated, and yeah, I don't think you can be honest about it. But anyway, I'm hoping that there's more of me around there. I also, when I was an early voter, I just would put it down to who do I trust with a big red button on their desk.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, who do I trust more? That would make the right decision for our country. And yeah, Trump's never been that. He's never been the answer for me.
It is so interesting to think back to 2016. And it used to be that, that used to be that simple. Of like, do we trust this guy with the world's largest nuclear arsenal? The fact that that's like barely brought up anymore is like, the pile of issues that we are dealing with here is, that one's like not even in anybody's top 10 anymore. And that's exhausting.
Yeah. But we should think about that. It is, and we have our own small business, and we found this is our 6th election year, and people go a little nuts during election year, and they just don't seem to want to maybe spend the money. But it just, like, guys, just calm down. Also, trust the system, and everybody must just go vote. That's it. Just go vote. Go out and put your stamp on there. So don't just sit back. That's what I want to just tell people. Go vote.
What an amazing call to action to end the episode on. And I am with you. Whatever side of the fence you're on, we might agree, we might disagree. But at the end of the day, if you are downloading this the day it comes out, that means it is election day. It's not the year to sit on the couch. And if you're someone who, like me, is voting for Kamala Harris, don't sit on the couch. And I'll be honest, if you're voting for Donald Trump, don't sit on the couch. Let's get everybody out there. Get your vote on record. Get your voice heard. Let's make sure that this is something where people feel like everyone had a chance to say what they have to say, because this is an election more than any I've seen. And they say that every election, but I think we would all agree that, no, this time it feels real. We need super healthy turnout so that America can feel like there was chances to be heard on this. And we need to respect the results either way, and we need to not resort to violence. And no Capitol needs to get stormed. And we need to start healing from some of that. And I firmly believe that getting out of the house, getting down to the polling place, even if just for the ceremonial participation of voting, you go out and vote this time, we can't have people who feel like they're not being heard. Not too much longer in this country, or things really will continue to slide in a direction that none of us seem particularly thrilled about. So everybody get out there and vote. Thank you to everybody who called in. Even that one Trump guy who said begrudgingly. He knows. He knows. He's still thinking, everybody. Anyway, I'll stop it. It's not about commentating on any one individual's choices. I have to thank everybody who called. I have to thank everybody who supports this show. I have to thank the High Priestess, Andrea Quinn. I have to thank Shellshag for the theme music. We have a voicemail line. It is 973-306-4676. Call up and pitch a story. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we're at Beautiful Anonymous Pod. If you want to follow us on Facebook, there's a great discussion group over there. It's Beautiful Anonymous, the community. Thanks, everybody. This week on Beautiful Anonymous Plus, here's some of what you'll get from the 5 questions.
I will just say, as someone who has spent a fair amount of time on the road with you, it's just not surprising to me that you think everybody shits their pants all the time.
You've seen me go, was it Denny's or IHOP where I ordered the Tres Leches pancakes? And then
I think both.
You didn't say a word. You never said a word, and you didn't even really change your facial expression. But eating the eating Tres Leches pancakes in front of you was actually a very sobering moment. Where I was in my head, I was like, I gotta change how I'm living, because you didn't do or say anything, but I could just feel that you were like, shit.
Judgment.
It wasn't judgment. It was concern. It was like, this guy's in his fucking 40s eating like a literal entire birthday cake's worth of fucking sugar for
on
breakfast.
the road. I might at home. But again, I think there are reasons.
And I don't honestly, I don't think you and I have ever discussed this before this moment, but you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Well, because I have spent the last few years trying to figure out why you and our other friends are so sure that everybody is walking around just one bad day away from shitting their pants. And that's not the experience I have. And so it's hard for me to not file away evidence.
Don't forget to sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus at beautifulanonymous.com.